I'll get somebody to come up to our brand table and they're like, "What's the deal with the rocks? What's that?" And I'm like, let me share. So, I mean, crystal modalities, healing therapies have been going on for thousands and thousands of years, from ancient Egypt to Rome, warriors carrying crystals into battle because it would give them strength and confidence. They're in our watches, they're in our electronics, they are ubiquitous, and yet they've been deemed very woo-woo and out there. But it is interesting. I do see that changing. So many younger people, kids in high school, those same kids will come up to that same table and be like, "Dude, you need fluoride because your ADD is so bad. You really need to focus." They're like, "You're so stressed out. You need rose quartz because it's just going to calm you down and make you be more loving. You're angry." So it's shifting.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Ask Julie Ryan Show. It's where we blend spirituality and practicality to help you live a life of purpose and joy. We have Dr. Liz Lehman on the show with us today. Liz spent years as an anesthesiologist, guiding patients through some of the most vulnerable moments of their lives during surgery. Today, she brings healing in a very different form through the art of candle making. From the operating room to the world of wax, crystals, and fragrance, Dr. Lehman's journey proves that healing comes in many forms. Today, we'll explore how medicine and creativity intersect and how Liz's creations can bring comfort and healing into all our lives. Please remember to subscribe, leave a comment, and share this episode with your family and friends. Now, let's go chat with Dr. Liz. Liz, welcome to the show. I'm so delighted you could join us today.
I'm so happy to be here, Julie. Thank you for having me. It is my greatest privilege to be here with you today.
Oh, goodness. I got lots of fun questions for you. Beginning with, how'd you go from being an anesthesiologist to being a candle maker, number one? And number two, at first glance, they seem worlds apart, but are they both about healing?
Okay, the first answer is going to be a little bit longer than the second, but I'll start with the first one. Medicine was sort of a family affair. My father was an orthopedic surgeon. My mother was a nurse. My grandfather was a dentist. His father before him was a physician. So it's sort of the thing we did. And while I didn't have a burning desire to go to medical school, I know now in retrospect, I did that to seek my father's approval because my younger brother was always getting the doctor kits and I was given the Barbies and, had all the good Barbie stuffs of the 1970s. But I'm like, hey, what about me? And so when I decided to go to medical school after graduating college, my father, who love him dearly, he's no longer with us, but very patriarchal household, that I grew up in. And he was like, "Oh, right, you can be a doctor too." And so that's really how I went down that path to start. But I did always love science and was drawn to healing. And yes, candle making and anesthesia are similar in that I honestly feel now in the candle making world, I am able to affect more healing on a larger scale than I ever could in a day in the operating room.
Really? How? Say more about that.
When I kind of skipped over the how I got into the making candles. We can go back to that part. But I created a product that has intention within it. And I really see it as an access point for really tapping into a higher state of consciousness in your home. Yes, it's a household item, but it is infused with crystals. It's infused with essential oils. It has a curated fragrance profile that can affect a desired mood state. And in some instances, we're really tapping into the science of scent and using key molecular plant-based ingredients in it as well. So if you were to buy one of our energy products, it actually has caffeine derivatives in it, as well as essential oils, red carnelian crystals. So it's all intended to really just tap into your energy, your frequency. It's all about healing. And it's simple. Like it's a candle. It's an essential oil roller ball. It's something you can do anytime at home. You don't need to wait to get sick to use it. In fact, that is the whole point, is to do these ritualistic steps that are easy to incorporate into your daily life, but they prevent disease.
Well, you bring up a really good point about scents, and I think it's something that we all know, but we don't think about. And when you mentioned caffeine, just smelling caffeine, does that give you like a energy boost?
It is. So I cannot quote any specific study, like how many parts per million one needs to inhale to get the benefit of it. But in medicine, many of our pharmaceuticals and agents are delivered inhalationally. And anesthesia is an inhalation delivered medication. So, yeah. And I mean, I just saw a commercial for a new flu vaccine that you can use at home. It's all inhalation. So,
Wow. Well,
yeah.
that makes sense because the herbs, the lavender
Mhm.
calms you down, the peppermint perks you up, that kind of thing. I never thought about caffeine having a scent and an energy that can provide a response physiologically in the body just from smelling it or being around it.
It won't have a scent. It is incorporated into the essential oil and fragrance blend that we use. So, technically, it does not have a scent, but that plant-based derivative is in there, and you are inhaling it. So, yeah,
Interesting,
it
interesting. Back to your dad, was he just so proud when you graduated from medical school?
so proud, so
So proud.
excited. Yeah, it was like 2 children, both doctors. He was beyond thrilled.
Yeah, you greatly exceeded his best expectations for you, is what I'm hearing. And, not for nothing, I'm an inventor of orthopedic surgery devices sold throughout the world, so there's a really good chance that he used some of my inventions when he was in the OR, and, they were inventions by a girl. Oh my gosh.
So that
Yeah, not
ooh.
too many of us out there. Yeah. Tell us how you really transitioned from the OR into candle making. Was it something that you just woke up one day and said, I think I'm gonna not be a doctor anymore and I'm just gonna start making candles? How did that happen?
Ugh, if it was only so simple. Just to 100% pivot in a different direction. Um, Early on in my anesthesia career, I always knew there was something else. I mean, had probably practiced medicine for 5 years, and I distinctly remember being in the locker room, changing out of my scrubs one day, and just sitting down on the bench in there and being like, "I can't do this for the next 30 years. Like, there has to be something else." I mean, you've been in the operating room, it's, the toxic environment. There's a lot of stress, a lot of different emotions that everyone brings in there. And what I know now that I didn't know then is I am a very empathic person. I do pick up on other people's energy. And it had gotten to a point where I did not love what I was doing. In fact, my mantra driving into work was becoming, I hate this expletive, we'll insert that there, job. I hate this job. Um, it's not a good way to make it through the day. And in fact, I had intuitively just started zipping myself inside a protective energy bubble, like in the parking garage before I went into work, with the idea I only have to make it through 12 hours today. I only have to make it through 10 hours today.
What
Uh,
did you dislike so much about it?
It what I know now, and I didn't realize then, was how stressful it was. I was not affecting any great change because the same people who kept coming back to the operating room would go back out, like, "Okay, we'll fix you." And they would expect us in the anesthesia department to fix a lifetime of bad choices because so many of our diseases are lifestyle related. And then they'll go back out and do the exact same thing they were doing that caused them to be in the operating room. So I was really feeling I wasn't able to help anybody. In the short term, yes, absolutely. Like you need to be asleep when your gallbladder's being taken out or you're getting your knee replaced. But long term, not at all. It wasn't affecting any change whatsoever. And, then you have the demands of the administration, of other personnel in the operating room. And I just knew I was meant to do something else. So for me, in looking for things that brought me joy, because I wasn't really finding it in the workspace, it was a lot of physical activity. I had gotten into yoga and I was still very much a type A person at that time. So, the kind of person on the yoga mat who I don't have time for Shavasana. That's lay down and rest time. I got to go, back on the treadmill. So I didn't just do yoga, I did my yoga teacher training. And that's when I was first introduced to meditation. And just really funny story there. I'm sitting in the very first class where we do our meditation. And I'm looking around, like one eye's open. I'm like, are these people really buying into this? We're supposed to sit here and just be quiet. The hamster wheel's turning in my head. And I'm like, oh gosh, I have to cough. Oh no, I have to go to the bathroom. Like, I can't sit here. I'm starting to fidget. And I realize I think I need this more than most people if I can even like crank out 10 minutes of being still. And I say all that to say that I was just a go hard, check the box, goal achieving, move on kind of person. That was just the way I lived. And in that space and ignoring all the signs that my body was trying to tell me to back off and to rest, I tore my hamstring doing some yoga maneuver no woman my age had any business doing. And I say the universe forced me to sit still. So I was literally forced to sit still and heal on a frozen water bottle. They're like, take a water bottle with you to work, sit on it whenever you're sitting. And I'm like, yeah, guys, but it only really hurts when I go up the stairs. And the physical therapist is like, what don't you understand, Liz? You should not be going upstairs. And I was the person like, what? There's an elevator? No, you just take the stairs. So it was a retraining. But on that frozen water bottle, I was on a computer and a blog, one of those pop up windows, popped up on the screen. And I swear I had never read a blog before. So, super type A. It was time to read that nonsense. And it was on making candles. And I know now other people had gone to camp and made candles or had, done it as an activity. That was never in my wheelhouse. I'd never even heard of it before. So I was very much like, oh, you can make candles? What? Read that blog, and then I Amazoned a candle making kit that day. That's really where it started.
Oh my gosh. You were led. That was divine intervention.
100%.
100%. The thing about the stress that I think most people don't understand and what happens in the operating room, and to your point, I was in and out of operating rooms for 30 years, is that most people think that the surgeon's the one that's in charge. They are not. It is the anesthesiologist who is the captain of the ship. So all of the extra pressure and stress and responsibility is on your shoulders as the anesthesiologist. And would you agree that most people don't have any clue about that? And why is that? Why are you the captain of the ship?
Well, the relationship between the patient and the surgeon is already, for the most part, established by the time they get to the operating room, at least for elective procedures. And we're in the anesthesia world, you're almost like the faceless kind of angel that comes and goes and just, keeps you alive, and then you never see this person again. Um, but yeah, the surgeon is the mechanic doing what they have to do. And then you, in the anesthesia world, you are like given all the oversight of everything that's going on with the patient, what the surgeon is doing. You're like, is the surgeon like, oh, the scariest thing in the world, and I will not make this super graphic, but the suction device when they're sucking bleeding, when you don't hear it, and it's very noisy. It's like,
Right.
Then
Right.
but when you don't hear it, that's when you're like in alert and you're looking over the drape because there's so much bleeding that is just being sucked out. So that is terrifying. And what the other thing I didn't realize is you're constantly multitasking because you're listening to the dialogue the surgeon's having with their assistants. You're constantly listening to the monitors beeping for the patient. Like you can be talking to the nurse who gets the surgeon all the things, the circulating nurse, and you can hear like the pulse ox start like just flipping down or the heart rate just you just hear it. So it's a constant sensory overload in the operating room. I think that aids to the stress. Like you just don't appreciate it when you're in it. And then once you're out of it, it's like night and day. And now I realize when that alarm clock went off in the morning, it was like cortisol surging, like
Oh, I
rush
bet.
to work. And as you would cruise by the holding area, the pre-op space where the patients are with their IVs, ready to get consent from anesthesia and the surgeon, and you would walk by and just you're always observing and scanning the different patients, and you're like, "Ooh, please don't let that be mine. Please don't," because whether it's, somebody whose chin is very recessed, who you realize is gonna be a really difficult intubation, or somebody who just looks deathly ill, and you're like, "Please don't be mine. Please don't be mine."
Jeez.
It's just, the basics of what happens behind the scenes in the operating room.
I have a whole chapter in my book, Angelic Attendants, about what happens in the operating room from a spiritual perspective, and I never thought about it until just right now, but I can see somebody do remote viewing when somebody's in the OR anywhere, even on a planet far, far in a galaxy far, far away, and the patient's guardian angel is always over the head of anesthesia. Always, always, always. Not over the head of the surgeon, over anesthesia. I never thought about it until just now. I can read the numbers on the anesthesia equipment. I can see what their heart rate and their gases and all that jazz are. And then also there are surgeon spirits over the head of the actual surgeon or
Mhm.
surgeons in the room. I can tell you how many surgeons are working in there and stuff like that. And then the deceased loved one's spirits are in an amphitheater position at the foot of the operating room table, at the OR table, and they're in like horseshoe rows. But the guardian angel to the patient is always over anesthesia, and it's because you're the one that's the most important one in that whole procedure.
Yeah, I mean, it's a team effort for sure. Like, I humbly do not take credit for any of that. It is a collaboration, all for the benefit of the patient. But yeah, I think people, and what I also know is most patients are terrified more of anesthesia than the surgery because it is this great mystery. So I don't practice anesthesia anymore, but always welcome any like assistance. So guardian angels, please go be with every anesthesia provider.
They are every time I scan somebody in the operating room. Stress related illnesses make up an estimated 75 to 90% of all doctor visits. Do you think we've become disconnected from our own inner wisdom, that guidance system that knows how to keep us healthy and whole?
100%. Yeah. We I don't I think it's a global problem. In our country, we very much have it's a reactive mentality. Something goes wrong, take a pill, fix it when it comes to your health. There's such little emphasis on prevention um, through a whole host of other methods, like proper nutrition, exercise. I hate the term alternative medicine. Why is it
Right.
alternative? Like, it should be under the umbrella of health and healing, not, just even medicine. But, acupuncture, Reiki, meditation, massage, like sound and light therapy, there's so many different modalities that are poo-pooed only to come to importance when somebody's sick. And we for so many of us are always looking outside for that expert, for the guru, for somebody to guide you and lead you down the path. And that's fine because we're all needing to be educated, I think, to some extent. But really, we don't ever look inside, and it starts with really meditation and just silencing your mind and being open to receiving whatever comes in whatever form that may be, whether it's, your guardian angel telling you something. But I think there's a big disconnect, and that does lead to a whole host of stress related illness.
Do you think that's a new phenomenon in the past 150 years or so, or do you think it's been going on longer than that?
It may have been going on longer than that. I mean, I do feel our Western society now, our food supply, I truly believe is poison. Like the processed foods are out of control. I think they will find that, and we are starting to find like disease so much more prevalent, and you can't pinpoint it to any one thing. But I do think our nutrition is horrible. I don't think we are active and exercise enough. A lot of our dependence on pharmaceuticals and not every medication is necessarily good for you, but very much here's a problem, fix it, take it. And physicians are trained to, mm, they have blinders almost. They're not looking at a holistic way of healing for the most part. Maybe 150 years ago, the stresses were different. Maybe you didn't have, you certainly couldn't go to the grocery store and, get your Cheetos and drive through foods and Starbucks with all the sugar stuff dumped in. No offense, Starbucks. You have a great product, but, there's a lot of additives that weren't there. So I think they had stress, but we fast forwarded all of it. We operate so much faster. There's TVs on, families don't connect. We're streaming services wherever you turn. Like it's really hard to find quiet now.
Yeah, I agree. At $5 trillion annually, the global wellness industry is absolutely booming.
Mhm.
When it comes to the personal level, what are you finding people really want? You're in it full force here in that industry. And what are you finding is really resonating with people?
Um, that's a really good question because I do have a unique insight, having been a physician, but now also an entrepreneur who has a company to create products that make you feel good. I interface a lot with people in the spa industry. We have a lot of wholesale accounts that are day, destination, resort spas. So I meet frequently with the directors of the spas and that side of the wellness industry. And the big trend there is experiential events. So they are seeing, and the trend is there for people not just to want to go get a massage or get a facial, get your hair and nails done at a spa, maybe like we would have done 15 or 20 years ago. They want things to be more ritualistic, to be more intentional. So many massages and just in the treatment space are incorporating crystals. They're incorporating light therapy. They're incorporating, the LED, all of that. They're incorporating cryotherapy into like you're going to your whatever, your spa and your fancy resort. And it's becoming, the line's getting blurred between what used to be a med spa treatment and, a spa get pampered treatment. There's room for both. I mean, I think that is just really interesting. It's not a quick one and done anymore. People want more. And then they want to learn too. They're like, why is this crystal helping me? Why do I need these lights? Why do I, breathe deep in with aromatherapy prior to getting a massage? What does that do? So I think that's really where the trend is.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What are the myths that just make you nuts about energy, crystals, and wellness?
That it's fake would be one.
Yeah. The
Uh,
myth is fake
right.
or, that all that stuff's
Yeah,
fake?
it's fake. And that's my judgment. So again, some of these in-person events I do, and I'll get somebody to come up to whatever our brand table where we're just, sharing information at an expo. And they're like, "What's the deal with the rocks? What's that?" And I'm like, I used to get when I first started, I'm like, "Oh God." But now I'm like, "Oh, teaching moment. Okay. Let me share." So, I mean, crystal modalities, healing therapies have been going on for thousands and thousands of years, from ancient Egypt to Rome, like, warriors carrying crystals into battle because it would give them strength and confidence. Um they're in our watches, they're in our electronics, they are ubiquitous, and yet they've been deemed very woo-woo and out there. But it is interesting, I do see that changing. So many younger people, I mean, kids in high school, those same kids will come up to that same table and be like, "Dude, you need fluoride because your ADD is so bad, you really need to focus," you know? They're like, "You're so stressed out, you need rose quartz because it's just gonna calm you down and make you be more loving, you're angry." So, it's shifting.
Wow. All right. So let's do a deep dive into crystals
Ooh.
here. How do they work? Where do you get them? How do you know that they're the real thing? How does somebody choose one?
Well, they're all good questions. There are reputable crystal dealers. Crystals are, because they are becoming more popular, they are becoming a little bit harder to find, and
Are
that
there counterfeit crystals out there?
are crystals that are being dyed. Yeah.
Oh, dyed.
So
Okay.
any crystals are primarily silicon dioxide. That's the chemical composition of quartz. Most crystals, so like amethyst is purple, it is primarily silicon dioxide, but it has inclusions in it that would either reflect or absorb the light to give it that purple color. So that has some iron in it and manganese in it. And rose quartz has, something else in it. But so all that's what changes the color. But they're all primarily silicon dioxide. So you can take basic silicon dioxide, you can manufacture it in a lab, much like a diamond is, made in a lab now. So they cost less. Are they going to vibrate the same way as if they were grown from the ground? I doubt it. They'll still be beautiful,
Do
and
you have a way to calibrate what the frequency is of the different crystals that you use?
I don't know that there actually is a device to do that. But
Is there
Julie,
like a Geiger counter kind
we
of thing?
should invent one for
Maybe we should. Yeah.
really, put that on our list. Like, we really should, because there should be a way to test it. I mean, you can tell if your citrine crystal, which is generally a little more like a lighter yellow. I have actually an example of a citrine here. This one's a little bit more gold. Yeah, this one's quality here. So it can be a little bit more of like this darky or a very light. Oh, here's another citrine actually. This is another citrine. It's got more of the quartz in it, so it's a little bit lighter. But you can find these and they're really bright yellow. That's going to be dyed. Just because it's becoming more rare and harder to find. So that means the price goes up, unfortunately. But there is not a great way for a consumer to know other than working with a reputable crystal dealer.
Certain crystals, I would imagine, are found in certain areas of the globe. For instance, diamonds are mined in South Africa. I think that's what we think for diamonds. Where are some of the other more popular crystals mined? And what are the different uses for different things? Like you got citrine and you got amethyst. What's amethyst going to do? What's citrine going to do? What are some of the other more popular ones? And what are the benefits of having them around?
Right. Brazil has a lot of crystals. They actually have an entire state call it mineral. I'm not sure how they say it in Portuguese, but it is the mineral state where a lot of their mining is. And they're having some tariff issues right now. So that has also kind of shrunk the available crystal market if you wanted to go out and buy like a great big beautiful crystal. China actually has a lot of the world's fluorite deposits are from China. India also has a lot of crystals, and we have some in the US as well. As far as what they do, there are a couple different theories on it, a couple different scientific camps. That it goes by the color, like the color ray, much like color therapy. So something purple aligns with your chakras. It would be for your third eye, enhancing intuition. So that would be your amethyst. A red crystal would be good for your root chakra, grounding. Clear quartz is generally known as the master healer. It would be, I guess, if you equate it to the chakra system, like your crown chakra.
Right.
Oh, it, heals everything. It amplifies the vibrations of everything else. So the color rays do that. Blue crystals are generally good for your throat chakra. So whether it's lapis lazuli or like blue apatite, sodalite, anything that's blue works that way. Um,
Interesting.
and
That makes total sense that it would correlate with the chakras. Yeah. I never thought of that.
tapping in the energy, the frequency, the vibration, it all aligns that way.
So how do you know first of all, how do you know what crystals to put with what fragrance to get what outcome in your candles and in your other products, number 1? And number 2, how do you know how much of the crystals? I would imagine that you get them in certain sizes. You aren't pummeling crystals to make them certain sizes, I can't imagine. Maybe you are. But how do you know what to put in what products to get what effect?
It was a bit of research there because I am not a certified aromatherapist. Although when I started this, I very much tapped into my, inner scientist and call it my mad chemist, like a little of this, a little of that, a little of this to come up with something. When I was developing our various products within the lines, take, for example, I'll just do our energy candle. So energy, you think, and when I designed our signature product line, I really wanted to tap into what ailments somebody had, like what you need more of, whether you're needing to bring in more calm, you're needing sleep, you need an immune boost, you need strength, you need energy. You need focus. That's how that originated. But energy in specific, when you think of something energizing in aromatherapy, it's going to be more of a citrus profile, a peppermint that's fairly ubiquitous in the world of essential oils and aromatherapy. They're all very uplifting. So you've got your bergamots, your lemons, your peppermint, orange. So those essential oils would go into that as well as other fragrance oils, because in this little kitchen experiment turned business, I realized fairly quickly not every essential oil is burn compatible. So when I started, I was like, everything has to be 100% natural. We're only using essential oils. Well, your wax will catch on fire if you use some of those citrus oils.
I didn't even think about that. Oh god. They have they have a flammable component to them.
So every chemical and, an essential oil is still a chemical compound will have something known as the flash point, and it's the temperature at which that substance will ignite. And I don't know why I just was like, "Oh, that's nonsense. Like whatever. That doesn't apply here." But actually, yes, it does apply. And the wax in some of them, it would just hit a pocket where the oil was not incorporated enough in the wax. And phew. So, home candle makers, I would say, do your research and use a like safe fragrance oil that's all natural, without parabens or phthalates and has essential oils. But yeah, just don't start dumping things. And not every essential oil is safe to burn either. There
Well,
is
that's why you have research and development, right?
yes,
Because you wanna be sure that you've got a handle on all of that stuff.
all of that.
So, I know you have an astrology line, which I think is really fascinating too. Tell us about that.
That is something that is brand new this year, which is, like, super fun. You know how things happen, there are no coincidences, but it was just coming into, like, my awareness, like, just this cosmic astrology, this pull, and, I'm seeing all these apps and things just popping up. I'm like, "This is just out there. Everybody's really into this," and I was too. I'm certainly not an astrologer. It's such a science. Like, you could it's a
Right.
whole 'nother degree, honestly, and it's a lifelong education, and I'm just so much respect for everything they do. But I just really wanted to tap into that energy of how the planets at the time and the place of my birth affect who I am. And so yeah, we developed a line of zodiac candles, which has been so fun. So similar sort of thing as to our signature line and like that energy product, like what would be energizing energy, the citrus profile, the red carnelian, it's a powerful crystal. It's got, the caffeine in it. So what works, so for Aries, it's a fire sign. It is actually gonna have, clear quartz crystal. It's gonna have, like, a fiery fragrance profile. It's gonna be uplifting and citrusy, but, like, with a little spice in it as well. It's gonna have red crystals in it. So, that's just been really fun to bring into existence, and people are loving it. It's been fun.
Alright, so I'm a Taurus. Does that mean my sun is BS?
No, it could be. It's it all again
The bull sign, is that like that's not some smell that I wanna be burning in my house. Thank you very much.
everything is always open to interpretation, but
Yeah,
Taurus
really.
is so, like, grounded in luxury. It's an earth sign, so grounded in luxury and liking things to be beautiful. So Taurus has some rose and geranium in it, has some sandalwood and cedarwood in it, has, rose quartz and green aventurine, and then, a beautiful clear quartz point in it. So, yeah, Taurus isn't bad. Taurus is a good thing.
When you're developing these formulas, are they divine downloads? Are you just channeling from your spirit guides, do you believe, or from God or from spirit, period, when you get these different formulas that you're concocting?
Yeah, I do think I didn't know it at the time because when I started this, I was still in that, like, very type A kind of 3D mentality, um, but they were. Definitely were channeled. I mean, I remember one very early on in this process getting a massage and being like, "Oh, I'm gonna create a line. I'm gonna add candles to this line." Like, originally, I had 5 candles. I'm like, "Oh, we need something that's just, like, really tapping in more to nature. I want something that's, like, woody and like strength and like kind of like a little musky, and then I would need something that's very calming like a day at the seaside. So yeah, like things do just come to me, and I have always, it's maybe not always good for business, but been able to see where I want to go. Like I'll have a vision of it, just that download, and then I work back from there.
Yeah. Yeah, that happens that way to me too. That's just the entrepreneurial download that you've tapped into, and it's like, you know what the end result is, you're not sure how you're gonna get there, and that's the adventure, and then when you get there, what do? You dream up something else to
Right.
create.
Oh,
That's just human nature, and especially for those of us that are entrepreneurs, but my husband and I were talking about this not too long ago, and he said, "And I've watched you for all these decades, and you know where you're going, but you have no clue how you're gonna get there." I said, "Exactly." And that's part of the adventure
I
and, what makes it fun.
Yep, yep, makes
Yeah.
my marketing director a little crazy because 'cause I'm like, "Oh, we're gonna do this," and she's like, Liz, we're still trying to catch up with you last thing, and how? And I was like, don't worry about it. We're doing it. I know it. I see it.
Yeah,
It's coming.
it's gonna come.
Get ready.
Yeah, and more lead from step to step. So, you've concocted all these different lines of candles and all of that. What do your clients find is the outcome to those certain candles? Whether they're smelling it during a procedure at a spa, like a massage or a facial or whatever, or whether they're burning it in their homes. And do you find that your clients will buy different candles for different situations and different occasions? Like you burn something mulberry-ish like at Christmas time and you're burning something citrusy in the summer. Do you find that that's the same kind of a thing?
Yeah. First part of that was so very early on, when I was just kind of selling these, I was still doing anesthesia. And there was a nurse, she was sort of like the head nurse of the operating room. And if I thought I was type A, she was like next level, like this manic, frantic energy, constant motion. And she had a candle. I think it may have been the sleep candle. And she's like, Dr. Lehman, I just have to tell you, I came home after work. I lit this candle and I sat down and it was like, it's the first time I could relax in a long time.
And that was one of your candles.
It was one of my candles. So very early on, like that was even before I had like our current packaging or anything. I was like, okay. And so I was kind of like, dang, this is actually working. What?
This is
Like,
real. Yeah, this is real.
I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, okay, this works." So I do hear that, and people who I get emails. I got another one today. Somebody who she's starting a business in the spiritual space, like tarot cards and doing readings, and she's like, "I'm obsessed with your release oil. It's a essential oil blend. It has amethyst crystals in it," and she's like, I just I use it in my rituals. It just centers me. It makes my pain go away. It just makes me feel good. So, it's those stories that I get very frequently, and someone who placed an order, like, my mom left a essential oil rollerball in the car, and I couldn't figure out where it was, so I called the hotel that she got it from because it just everybody's saying how amazing I smell, and I feel so good when I have it on. So those kind of things just really reinforce that it's affecting change that I could never do in the operating room. Because when you feel good, when your mood is improved, your health is improved. I mean, it's that simple. You're not having all those stress related diseases if that is where you are the majority of the time. As far as like what scent do you need? And people will ask me, like, what do you like, Liz? I'm like, well, it's like picking your favorite child. But what, I'm like, which daughter do I like better? Um, but it really is what you're needing more of. I mean, there are times when I'm like, oh, I got to burn that strength candle. Or other times that I just want something like fresh and light. And I'm like, oh, yeah, recharge. Or yeah, I'll go through periods where I'm like, sleep. I just need to be like that grounded coziness, feeling like I'm wrapped in the softest blanket ever, which was my mental vision when I came up with that candle. Like sleep has to be like when you're on the couch and you're in what I would call like almost like my fat sweatpants, the ones that the waistband is like rolled down and I can't walk across the room because they're just so big and cozy and you're just like oblivious to anything that could possibly go wrong. That became sleep. So yeah, it's really what you need.
And so the healing component, short of the stress, which we talked about earlier, is like 90% of the problem with all this. Diet and exercise certainly are part of the equation. But is that how the candles heal and your roller balls and all of that? Is that how they heal because they reduce stress more than anything? Or is there another healing component to them with the frequency of the crystals and the frequency of the fragrance that's added into the equation?
Yeah, it's multifactorial. Like nothing is like cause and effect. I think with most things in our world, just because we're open to so much surrounding extraneous stimuli. Different things are at play. Whether it's you're lighting a candle and that fragrance, you're smelling it, and perhaps it's reminding you of this, beautiful memory you had, in London in the spring when you were a child, or for whatever, because scent and memory are so intimately tied with the neuroanatomy of the brain. So that's a component of it. The fragrance itself does affect a mood. And if you're in a good mood, your cortisol is less. You are not surging all those stress hormones. Your heart rate goes down. You're more relaxed and your blood pressure is down. The crystals are their vibrations working as well. Very early on at I think it was like a community fair or something. I was selling candles, and again, I had just started the process, and someone comes up and she was really into crystals, and she picks up a candle, and it was in its package. Like, you couldn't even see which one it was. And she's like, this has, I think it was like rose quartz. She goes, "This has rose quartz. I can feel its vibration. That's amazing." And I'm like, "Really?" I was like, "Are you for real?" I'm like, still my skeptical science brain is like, "Huh." And then I'm like, "Oh, well, actually, yeah, it does." And she goes, "This is wonderful. Like, I could just feel it." I'm like, "Okay." So there are people who are really tapped into that, who can do that. And then there is the essential oil component. You put on a essential oil on the body and like a pulse point, which is just an area of the body where the blood vessels run closer to the skin. It's absorbed into the skin and then affects a holistic way of healing. So, yeah, multifactorial.
You talk a lot about combining the environments of physical and energetic. When somebody lights one of your candles or uses one of your other products, your roller balls or other products, is it affecting their spiritual environment as well as their physical environment when they're utilizing your products?
I hope so. I certainly hope so. That is my intent as I have grown more spiritually, like in my own development. Um, yeah, absolutely. There's so much more than just the body. And when energetically we're not aligned, disease manifests in the body, but we are an internal, eternal soul who has a body. So yeah, we're all about spirit.
Well, and my impression too, and this is just coming in, it's a divine download, is when somebody is utilizing your products, it increases the vibrational level in their environment and in them. And spirit vibrates at a high level, high frequency, just because it doesn't have the mass of a body.
Right.
And so it enables us to be able to communicate and get guidance from spirit perhaps more easily because, as you know, I always say spirit doesn't communicate on the I feel crappy channels because the vibration's too low. Actually, spirit is communicating with us all the time, but we're not tuned to this spirit channel. It's kind of like when you have satellite TV and there are 850 channels that are broadcasting simultaneously, and you're able to receive any one of those signals and change the channel to whatever show you wanna watch, and then there's a storm that blows through and you lose that signal temporarily. While that show's still being broadcast, you're not able to receive it.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking your products raise the vibrational level of the environment, which raises the vibrational level of the person or the persons in the environment, which allows them easier access to spirit. Does that sound feasible?
I have no doubt that that's how it's working.
Yeah,
It just
I think so
allows you
too.
to be more open to receiving. And when you were speaking, I had this thought because, again, we touched on it a little bit, but people just even like in the spa space, something we all just like kind of take for granted, but they're all wanting that ritual. And so many of the providers there are incorporating like a crystal oil and placing it on the heart of the person receiving that treatment, putting it on their third eye, on their temples, having them breathe and inhale it. It's all geared just for that, to elevate their vibration, to allow them to receive spirit. And I think everybody, they're not walking into that spa saying, I'm looking to receive and get more in touch with like higher vibrations, my spirit team. But that's really what they're doing. They just haven't put the words to it yet, you know?
So if we were in this late 1700s and early 1800s, all those spa people would be burned at the stake too,
Yes, they
because
would.
they're practicing what those guys would think is witchcraft, which is nonsense. But that's all that holistic stuff too. Yeah. If crystals could talk, what do you think they'd want to say to humans?
Ah, they're like, thank you. It's about time you gave me the respect I deserved. I think it's collaborative, like all things with just nature and things that are infused with the consciousness of Gaia herself. They they wanna be a part of us because we are of that as well. And I think they want to be like, "Yes, put me at your bedside. Carry me with you in your handbag, put me in your pocket, wear me around your neck." I think they just have nothing but fondness for us. They wanna help us.
Yeah. Couple more questions as we're winding down here. Do you think that personal healing has the potential to expand outward into family and furthermore into a community?
100%. Yeah, I think, again, people are actively seeking like that divine spirit, that connectivity. And especially in the post-COVID world where we were all like forced to be so isolated and separate from others, that now there is very much a pull towards that ritual. And I mean, I see a lot in my area of like sound baths, sound healings, yoga, meditations, but they're not just doing like a yoga class. They're incorporating even acupuncture into that like yin yoga practice for a deeper relaxation. They're incorporating essential oils, candlelight, sound baths and candlelight, practices of all kinds are definitely enhancing the community. And our kids are way more aware than I was at that age. And hopefully they can learn from some of the mistakes that we have done, maybe not be so reactive with healing, be more proactive. I think it's very doable.
Do you think that's the next big shift in wellness?
Mhm. I
To
do.
be more proactive with wellness and not so much in disease and illness management?
I do. And unfortunately, I think sort of the onus of that is going to be on the individual or the individual seeking a like minded community or tribe for that. Because as our system is set up now, there's no financial incentive for prevention.
Good point.
It's all for disease. So we're all working against a very well established system that is, all ready to give you all the medications for that disease, but they're not going to pay for your sound bath. They're not going to pay for your acupuncture. They're not going to pay for your massage. So it is, it's a problem. I think and I would love to see it where, your insurance covered it or there were a lot of free community resources for that. I mean, a lot has come a long way online. Like you can access on YouTube, yoga, easily access free meditations. And I'm sure you can do sound baths. It's different in person, I think, the experience, but that's where we all really need to focus more attention on.
Mhm. Instead of creating customers for life in the form of, somebody taking a medicine for life and or coming in for a checkup every month or every 6 weeks or whatever. Yeah, that's definitely a business model that's very robust. It's what, worth trillions of dollars annually,
Yeah.
something like that, some crazy amount. If there was a way for somebody to just easily weave energy alignment into their busy lives, is there a suggestion you can make that somebody can implement right now that'll be simple?
Meditation.
Meditation.
Meditation. I mean, and that is science backed. So all the skeptics who are thinking, oh, crystals, woo woo, that doesn't work, sound healing doesn't work. There are countless studies out there that a meditation practice will decrease your cortisol, all the stress hormones, decrease your risk of heart attack, of cancer, of stroke, of, diabetes, everything. And it doesn't have to be like, I have to block off 30 minutes of my day every day to meditate. Um, and I'm opening my eye the first time in meditation, looking around at people in that yoga class. Like, is this for real? What is wrong? Like, if I can learn to do it, anybody can. And when I was practicing anesthesia, and everybody's like, there's the other myth. You have to like wake up in the morning before your day starts to meditate. No, you don't. I mean, I couldn't have woken up any earlier in that space, and I certainly wasn't in the mindset to meditate, but I did manage in my 30-minute lunch break to carve out 5 minutes just to sit outside, or on days where it was raining, I would climb the top of the stairwell in the surgery center where I work, just sit down and put in headphones with some just relaxation music and just breathe. And just 5 minutes was enough for me to reset my day. So whether it's like in the middle of the day or you're driving home from work, just park your car before you walk into the house and like talk to those kids who have been like running around or going to bombard you with all your mom things. Just take 5 minutes to breathe. And even if it's not like a sitting still carved out time, it doesn't have to look like that for everybody. It can be a walk. Just taking a walk without the headphones in, without, answering your phone. Just be outside. 5 minutes.
Yeah,
That's where it
I
starts.
agree. Great suggestion. Last question, why do we incarnate?
Ooh. We keep going. I think because Earth School is just so, like, juicy. There's so much to learn here, and it's not impossible to get it right. I think we can, but we just keep getting closer to that ultimate divinity, just closer to source. That's why, because we come back to do it again, to pick up where we left off, and it's fun. It's fun. It's complicated and messy, but it's fun, and we just keep doing it till we get closer to source.
Great answer. You are extraordinary, my girl. You are brilliant. You're innovative. You're creative. I love how you combine the medical and the energy healing and the crystals and the scents and all the woo woo stuff all together in one big goulash. And I think that you come from a place of being a scientific mind, certainly, and you've been able to parlay that into new layers that you've added to help serve people in your role as a candle maker. And you can't take the doctor out of you. I mean, that's always going to be in there, and it needs to be. But it's very evident to me that that's all been part of your journey to get you to this place where you can serve humanity on a much broader scale. So congratulations on that.
Thank you, Julie. That's so beautiful. I'm like, all I can say is I receive that. Thank you
And
for
you are most
kind
welcome.
words. And thank you for having me here. It's just been so fun to talk to you. That's number one. But if this helps or resonates with anyone, that's even better.
To find out more about Liz and her products, just go to askjulieryan.com/candles. That's askjulieryan.com/candles, plural, for a 20% discount. That is so generous of you, Liz. Thanks so much for extending that to the Ask Julie Ryan community.
Oh, you're welcome, Julie. I'm just thrilled, and I hope they love them. Would love to hear the feedback.
Alrighty, everybody, lots to think about in this conversation. And in the meantime, I'm sending you so much love from Sweet Home, Alabama. Mwah! And from Maryland, too, where Liz is. We'll see you next time. To enhance your spiritual journey, click on one of the videos below and remember to subscribe, leave a comment, and share this episode with your family and friends.